Welcome to HSGameTime Live, pregame from Citrus Valley High School in Redlands, where the Blackhawks are hosting Notre Dame, and we have Kyle, Titans head coach Pete McGowan. We're calling this the Pete and Pete Bowl. Remember that show, Pete and Pete?
Yeah.
Do you remember that show on Nickelodeon?
Yeah.
Pete
They were
Smolin,
redheads
Pete
though, so it doesn't quite work.
Yeah, but very much a game that will, have playoff implications, I guess you could say, in terms of seeding and jockeying for position. So, Kyle, what do you think the Titans need to do to pick up a win as we get ready to talk to Coach?
Well, obviously Anthony McMaster is out, and that's obviously a hindrance to the passing game. But Paul Bradfica and his team really need to be on point. But also the defense has to do well as well. Citrus Valley has a very good rushing attack, a couple different guys who can run the ball. And Coach, that's the first question I want to ask you between Montgomery and Kokesh and Douglas, their quarterback. They have a lot of guys that can run the ball. How do you contain all of those guys?
What we try to do to contain the running game is we try to mix the fronts, and we try to send pressures from many different angles to get our guys in positions to make plays. Obviously we're a smaller team, and so to go toe-to-toe and bang, it was not possible. So we just move and constantly move and try to get the proper angles and make plays and get through it, get around, through, whatever we have to do to make the play.
Now, Coach McGowan, you're back at your alma mater, trying to get this program back in the the win column, the winning ways, I guess I should say. From last season, I mean, quite a remarkable turnaround, right, for this Titan program and where you guys are going.
Absolutely. I think the one thing I'm most proud of is that my offensive coordinator is a graduate of Notre Dame, 1985. My defensive coordinator is a Notre Dame graduate, year 2000. My head freshman coach is a Notre Dame graduate, 1981, and I'm a graduate in Notre Dame, 1989. And both my coordinators met their wives at Notre Dame. So we're bringing the foundation back. We're bringing back what Notre Dame used to be. The trick is I can't get there fast enough. That's the, you know what I mean? It's like, and we're in a tough league. And, I know Notre Dame's known for playing schools bigger than them and stuff, but these schools are really big, you know what I mean? No excuses though, 11 on 11, we go play. And, but yeah, the turnaround is remarkable, and the foundation is being built, so.
Now, Coach, Notre Dame is on a 9-game losing streak in Mountain Valley League play. How do you guys, finally put a stop to that?
We keep playing hard, and we play to play. We're developing the lower levels. We're developing a winning attitude. I got a lot of sophomores that are playing. We played a tough game against Rubidoux. We were playing tough against Rim for about a quarter and a half until the floodgates opened up a little bit. So it's just, and the one thing nice about Notre Dame is they're just tough-nosed kids, and they let everything roll off them and then play hard the next week. So these kids are wanting somebody to back them up and stay with them, instead of being a 2-year coach and leaving, and a 2-year coach and leaving. I'm telling these guys here, I'm here through thick and thin. I'm going to be with you guys for a while, and I think the message is starting to resonate. It just takes time.
And, Coach, let's just assume for a second that 4 teams out of the Mountain Valley League go to the CIF playoffs.
Okay.
Tonight's a big game for that simple fact, right, against the Blackhawks.
Absolutely. I mean, as a coach, you want to pride yourself making the last 3 games of your season, the ability to go to the playoffs, and we've put these kids in position to go all the way to the end. And even you take a loss tonight, even if you can win 2 games, the last 2, there's still a possibility of getting the wild card because our league is tough. I mean, I think Rim is going to be semis or playing for the league title again, and so, that's what we can all hope for.
Yeah.
It's a tough league, and I'm proud to be in it. I mean, and I know there's some shuffling next year, but that's more of a numbers issue.
Now, Coach, you guys are 0-2 in league, as is Citrus Valley. Do you consider this a must-win game for your team?
Absolutely. Every game is a must-win. Losing to Rubidoux hurt. I mean, we were ahead by a touchdown, and we were matching, and we threw the pick 6. And then kind of Rim, you kind of know they're just real up right now, so it's going to be a tough game. So this one going in, we really feel we can play and try to get a win out of here. It's a must-win. It's a must-win.
Pete McGowan, head coach for Notre Dame. Good luck tonight, Coach, and we really appreciate you taking the time to come over here and speak with us. Thank you very much. Pete McGowan. Now, there is a conspiracy, Kyle, that Notre Dame grads run the city of Riverside.
Yes, I've been down here about 7 months, and it's amazing to me how many Notre Dame grads there are in positions of power, whether it be a sports editor of the Press Enterprise or
that's one
all around. But no, it's good to see. There's a lot of tradition, a lot of pride at that school, and Coach McGowan and his staff are doing a lot to bring that back. It wasn't that long ago they were winning. You look at the Bob Burt days. There were some 8-3, 9-2 records. It's just they've been a little bit of a slump. We mentioned 9 9 consecutive Mountain Valley League losses. And, it's tough to say who's the favorite in this game tonight, but there's no doubt in my mind that there's no clear favorite. So Notre Dame is going to be challenged to end that losing streak here tonight.
Now, we've talked about this over and over. It kind of sound like a broken record at this point, but the Mountain Valley League teams make a lot of noise in the East Valley Division when we get to the playoffs. I mean, so a team, let's say Rim of the World, Harupa Hills, or the top four.
Rubidoux now 2-0.
Yeah,
they're in great shape.
Any of these teams that come out of the Mountain Valley League, automatically you got to think they're going to make some noise in the playoffs. We saw Harupa Hills as a wild card team go all the way to the semis.
Absolutely, and this is probably the strongest league in the East Valley Division. That said, you're not going to get 5 teams in. You're probably going to get 4 at the most. Well, right now, Rim of the World's 2-0, Harupa Hills is 2-0, Rubidoux's 2-0. You got to assume those 3 teams are probably getting in. This Citrus Valley Notre Dame game, this could be a playoff game, a playoff playing game, if you will. The winner of this game, has an inside track to 4th place in a playoff berth. The loser's probably out of it.
Let's step aside for a second. We'll zoom in on some of the warm-up action, so we'll move to the side and we'll keep talking here as Pete Smolin, the Citrus Valley head coach, will join us in just a couple minutes as Blackhawks are preparing for a much-needed win against Notre Dame, as we told you. Both teams desperately needing to get in the hunt for playoff positioning at this point. And Kyle, we talked to Coach McGowan about the keys to victory for his team. What do you think the keys to victory are for the Blackhawks tonight?
Run the ball, down Notre Dame's throats and keep the ball out of Paul Bradfica's hands. I think that even though Anthony McMaster is no longer with the team after breaking his fibula, he's done for the year, there's still a lot of weapons. They had, they still have Wesley Smith, coming out of the backfield. They had, I believe it was Brian Crayston come up and have a nice game last week. So Notre Dame can still put points on the board. For Citrus Valley, they're going to want to use that 3-headed rushing attack of Montgomery, Kokesh, and the quarterback Lance Douglas. Keep the ball out of Notre Dame's hands and keep Notre Dame's defense on the field. I think if they play ball control football with the running backs they have, they'll come out on top.
Now, just looking at both teams, just sheer numbers, Citrus Valley has a big team, and they also have size. I mean, they got some big kids on a big team, as opposed to Notre Dame, who probably suits maybe close to 40, maybe somewhere in the mid-30s, I would guess.
And that's the difference. Citrus Valley is at around 2,000 kids in their enrollment. I think Notre Dame's around 400, and that's one of the reasons why next year Citrus Valley is making a huge jump up to the Citrus Belt League. Going from Division 12 to Division 2, if you will, if you want to go by the old numbers. That's a jump might be unprecedented in inland area history. So this is one of those games where the team that is bigger and has more depth, at this point in the season, definitely has an advantage. But that doesn't mean Notre Dame doesn't have a chance. They do. That said, though, if history repeats itself, Notre Dame's in trouble. They've lost the last 2 to Citrus Valley. I believe it's 53-14 and 42-14. The Blackhawks have really had the Titans' number the last 2 years.
All right, so this is a great Thursday night game in the Mountain Valley League, but how about also Friday night? Harupa Hills taking on Rim of the World. Now, I've talked to some guys around the Mountain Valley League, and it sounds like the consensus is that Rim of the World is still the clear favorite in this league, pretty much having their way against these other teams, and everyone else is just kind of fighting for second place. But what does Harupa Hills have to do on Friday night to maybe challenge the Scots? I mean,
Harupa Hills has athletes, there's no question, but I think at the end of the day, you have to stop Jamie Taylor, Jacob Taylor's little brother. I think he ran for over 300 yards against Notre Dame last week. If you can't stop Rim of the World running the football, there's not much you can do on offense to come out on top. So if you can stop Jamie Taylor, you give yourself a chance. But that said, no one's been able to stop either of the Taylor brothers over the last few years for Rim of the World. And I think just because history has a tendency to repeat itself, Rim of the World is the clear favorite heading in through the rest of the year and the East Valley Division playoffs, really until they hit St. Margaret's, possibly in the finals.
Now, it's been well documented that I'm not very good with my numbers or history, but I think last year when Rim of the World won the CIF title, it was the first time they had won it since 1978, I think I want to say. Does that sound about right?
About right. Part of that, though, was before they were playing up in the Mojave River League in the Eastern Division with, Serrano and Sultana and some of the schools up there. And then come playoff time, they were facing the Palm Springses of the world, Silverados. So they were facing some bigger schools that just, it was a different caliber. Since moving down into the East Valley Division, Rim of the World sort of, they've just been the class of it. And I think that the Fighting Scots are again, but once again, the Mountain Valley League, I think, is hands down the best league in the East Valley Division. These are 2 teams tonight, Citrus Valley, Notre Dame, I think would compete for a league title, maybe in a different league in this division.
All right, Kyle, let's go ahead and make your way back in front of the camera as I see Pete Smolin making his way down the sideline. We're going to talk to him. We're actually pretty dark where we're at, and I'm trying to fix that here. But
yeah,
still.
it's a dark, cloudy night up here in Redlands. You know, we've had a lot of sunshine and clear skies most of the year, but we're heading towards November, and the cold and the clouds are starting to move in. We'll see if that starts having an effect on the games.
There we go. That's a little better. That's still a little bright, but that's all right. We'll make do with it. But I see Pete Smolin making his way down here.
Former athletic director, now focusing solely on the head coaching duties.
Yeah, so I'm going to swing around you real quick. All right. That's all right. Pete Smolin, come on over.
Come on, join us.
Hey,
Pete, thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
No problem, no problem.
Good luck tonight, Coach. Thank you for taking the time to come over. I know you guys are just moments away from kickoff, so we appreciate the time. So, Coach, we were talking about the keys for you guys. In our opinion, what are the keys for the Blackhawks to get a win tonight?
Well, we just need to get some confidence and some consistency, and that comes with experience. And we only have 5 returning starters from last year, and you know, every rep, every game, we get better and better in practice in the games, and just get some consistency. And I think they'll help us out a lot, get some confidence in the competition.
Coach, I asked Pete McGowan the same question. You guys are 0-2 in the league.
Yeah.
Do you consider this game tonight a must-win for your season?
Of course, it's a must-win. I mean, our goals are still the same as before. You know, we want to win. You know, every game you play in league, you want to win. And playoff now, it's playoff implications. You know, we have to win to have a chance at the playoffs. So.
Is that kind of the message that, you know, the playoffs essentially start now for your team?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
going
exactly
forward.
what the line I used, you know, earlier in the week. And it's like a playoff game because, you know, our season could be cut real short if we don't win tonight.
Now, Coach, you guys have a lot of different weapons running the ball with Montgomery and Kokesh and Douglas. Tell me about, you know, how you get all those guys those carries and use them.
We do have a 3-headed monster in the backfield, and you know our quarterback's a good runner too. None of which have been healthy yet this whole season. So you know our running Montgomery went out with a knee, and Kokesh has a bad ankle. But those guys at 50% are as good, you know, as most guys have at full percent. So we're really happy with how they're doing it, and we try to mix it up a little bit with them. But you know, just whatever's working, we're going to keep doing.
Now, Coach, this is a Notre Dame team, even just a year removed, much improved. I mean, this isn't the same Titans team that we saw last season. So going into this game, you know they're hungry. They're in the same position as you guys. So just talk about that matchup and, you know, playing this Notre Dame team.
They improved tremendously. I mean, they've always been a tough, hard-nosed team, but the big change from last year to this year, you know, all their kids can move the ball. Anyone can score. You know, they do very well on offense, and they swarm to the ball on defense. And you know, just they're like a night and day team from last year. But we always know Notre Dame plays us tough, and you know we're expecting a hard physical game today.
Now, Coach, you guys are scheduled to move into the Citrus Belt League next season, a huge jump. As you watch your team's games over these final couple weeks, are you analyzing, okay, this is where we are, this is where we need to get to be able to compete in the CBL?
Well, of course, you want to get better every year, and you want to get better every week, and you know, just a natural progression, you know, of getting better. Try not to think too much about the CBL. We are looking at, you know, more the younger guys now and see how they would fit in the future and things we can do in the lower levels to try to prepare them to be successful. And we have a lot of juniors out here now that are getting their experience now, which didn't happen last year. We had a big bubble where we had 19 four-year varsity starters just graduate. So there's this big bubble right now, and these kids are trying to get their experience now, the juniors. So, you know, just getting better every week and correcting mistakes and full steam ahead.
Yeah, some true rivalries next year with Redlands and Rev. Some two
really
very good teams right there.
Yeah, you know, we're competing against them all the time, but now we'll actually, on paper, but now we'll get to compete against on the field, and it's going to be really exciting.
But first things first, you got to take on Notre Dame, get a win tonight, keep the playoff hopes alive. I know you got to get back to your team, so we'll cut this short. But thank you so much, Coach
Pete.
Smolin.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Good meeting you.
Pete Smolin, one of the good guys around here, and as you mentioned, you know, the move to the CBL will be huge next year. But right now, the huge game is tonight against Notre Dame.
Absolutely, but you know, sort of looking forward, thinking a little bit. You got to wonder. I mean, I think if I'm Citrus Valley, I want to show myself that okay, we can compete and get into the playoffs out of the Mountain Valley League. If they go 1-4 in Mountain Valley League play, I think that's actually going to hurt their confidence. Thinking, oh great, this is what we did in the Mountain Valley. What's going to happen to us in the Citrus Belt League? So I think
which Carter is also moving into, which makes it even harder.
So I mean, you're gonna have 7 brutal games next year if you're Citrus Valley. So I think they want to win this. You know, these last couple games, not just for the sake of this year and getting into the postseason and having some momentum, but even for their confidence for next year. Because once again, if you go 1-4 in Mountain Valley League play, the opinion of even the most optimistic guys is we're in trouble going into Citrus Belt League play.
Well, who knows? The Blackhawks could be the Harupa Hills of this season. You know, just sneak into the playoffs, just get in there, catch fire, and who knows what will happen.
And Coach Smolin mentioned, you know, a lot of it's health. You know, it's one of those situations where team gets healthy right as the playoffs about to start, and before you know it, they're in the semis with 2 good victories. So health is a huge part of that, and they do have the athletes and the weapons. We talked about they have the depth and numbers a lot of other teams don't in the East Valley Division. So we'll see what Citrus Valley is capable of, but tonight they have to get this win, or else all the rest becomes kind of moot.
All right, must win in terms of a playoff position, playoff spot. Notre Dame taking on Citrus Valley. Kyle will break it all down as he always does in Friday's Press Enterprise, and we will also have video highlights later tonight on HSGameTime. For Kyle Glazer, I'm Pep Fernandez, and we'll see you tomorrow night on HSGameTime Live with all your scores and highlights from Week 8 of the high school football season. We'll see you next time.